like Total Recall of this fucking Martin Scorsese.
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Did you see the wild
Italian food. This is great. 10 out of 10 for me.
Yep, there it is. Okay.
Well, hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Confused Breakfast Podcast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
I do.
The excitement of walking down the aisles, browsing the names and the artwork, and finally picking out the movie you're going to take home with you.
Took out that thing you're talking about.
Sure, it's hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch.
Get the papers.
But there was something truly special about making that trip, picking a movie out by hand, and watching it at home with a nice Italian feast. Preferably not too much onion in the sauce.
Right.
Yeah, right. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. I'm your host, Mike Schulte, and joining me as always, Shawnee Trenchcoats and Tony Chuckles.
How you doing?
What's my name? I didn't write one for me. You're Shawnee Trenchcoats, Tony Chuckles.
You're
Mikey the hitter.
Mikey Schlutz.
Mikey Schlutz.
Yeah, no nickname needed. Mikey Schlutz.
Mikey Schlutz. Why do they call him Mikey Schlutz? You don't want to ask him that.
You don't want to ask. He hates that. He hates that.
Don't call him that. We call him that. You don't call him that.
Only Oregon news anchors can call him that.
That's right. You don't call him that.
She's dead now. So try your luck, huh?
Sleep with the fishes.
Sloot with the fishes.
She's slooting with the fishes.
All right, boys. Man. On this episode, we talk about the number 17 rated movie on IMDb, a movie nominated for 6 Oscars, directly inspiring The Sopranos, and is widely considered as one of the best gangster movies of all time, a movie that held the record for the most profanity at the time of its release. Based on a true story, we are, of course, talking about 1990's Goodfellas.
Wise guys.
It's Wednesday morning. It's early. Way too early for you. You're probably sitting in traffic, like me. Why not have your coffee and bacon with the Confused Breakfast Boys? Good morning, boys.
Morning.
Damn, dang it.
A little aioli on that bacon. Be good.
Oh, yeah.
Sear it up in a nice little sauce.
Bacon. He had this way with the garlic. It's like it melted into the sauce.
So good.
Is there a fucking impression you do not know how to do? My God.
He doesn't like tell us about it either. And I don't think he practices. He just has it in him.
It's just like, oh, we're doing Goodfellas. Now I can do my Italian accent.
Oh, good.
Okay, so Goodfellas was voted on directly by our Patreon members. AJ wanted to give 5 movies like gangster, mafia, crime movies. Mm-hmm. They chose Goodfellas with a resounding 61% of the vote.
Blew them out of the
Very
water.
Surprising.
Heat came in second with 20%. Bronx Tale, 10%. Casino 7, surprisingly. Wow. I thought Casino would have been a little higher, which is basically the same movie. And then Untouchables, 3%. So if you guys want to be a part of these votes, we got. I think there might be one up right now. We do one a month where you guys get to directly pick this. Go to patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. Voting on upcoming movies. Weekly bonus audio content to choose from. Backlog. If you sign up today, there is a backlog of about 90 hours waiting for you. If you got a long drive coming up or something, patreon.com/confusedbreakfast.
Thank you guys who have donated and keep donating so far. Thank you so much.
Life-changing friends that we have out there.
Absolutely life-changing.
So if you are new to this podcast, we will be reviewing this movie with a modern eye, but at first we have to properly talk about it with nostalgia so we can strip that away. So we're going to talk about it only based on what our first, encounter was with this movie. So Shaun, why don't you start us off? Tell us the first time you saw this movie.
Martin Scorsese. I love him.
Scorsese.
I love him. He's one of them auteur filmmakers I talk about. It was around the time where I was just like getting into film. I needed to watch every Coen brother movie, needed to watch every Tarantino movie, needed to watch every Scorsese movie. And I got to this one. And I remember actually, before I saw it, my stepmom, when we used to visit them in Illinois, she had a poster of this, which I own now, along with the Taxi Driver one. And it always freaked me out because it's just menacing dudes in suits on the cover of this, and I was like so intrigued by it. And so once I finally got to it, I'm like, oh, I understand. Like this is just a really fun. Well, I guess you could say fun. It was just a great movie for me at the time. It was just like it got me into crime movies. This movie did, and so back then I would say a 7.8.
7.8. AJ, what about you? First time you saw this movie?
First time I saw this movie, it was a little later in life. Yes, I've seen it, guys. Okay. I have seen
it.
This
was
movie.
my vote, for God's sakes.
I have seen it. There was a point where I had seen a couple other like mobster movies or mafia movies before this, and then somebody brought this up as this is the one, like this is the movie, you know. And so I remember popping it in or putting it on at some point. I think I was probably only like 15, I would have to say, but there was just something about like this era, and it covers a large time span, but there's just something about this. It's like the suits and the way they talk to each other and the respect and the disrespect and all this kind of stuff that I thought was really fascinating. So that being said, it also scared the hell out of me.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if there's nothing, I don't know if there's anything more frightening than crazy Joe Pesci in a movie, to be completely honest. So the movie really freaked me out. There were parts that like it was tough for me to watch as like a kid. But that being said, it turned me on to a whole new slew of like movies beyond that, and then so I mean, looking back, I think I got to give this. Based on the scariness, I'm going to give it a 7.8.
7.8 for me. When I first saw this movie, I didn't know what movie I was watching. It always felt like I was not into this genre of movies yet. It felt like Casino and Godfather and Goodfellas and everything was just like the same movie. Because a lot of times they're same actors a lot of times too, and you're just kind of like, what movie am I watching? And then it always just felt too long, and I couldn't understand why they were doing some of the things they were doing. It was great. Like, there's some funny moments and all, but again, yeah, it was kind of scary. The first time you saw it, I was like, should I be watching this movie? It's a bit frightening. So for me, nostalgically, like, it was just a 6.5.
Okay.
You know, not that great of a movie in general. So that gives us a group nostalgic rating of 7.37. You know, it's still pretty decent. That's going to take us to number 37 on the list. That is just below Reservoir Dogs. Interesting enough, it's
weird.
Suited kind of heist movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then just above Batman.
Wow.
Okay.
Weird position, but
crime in that too, I guess.
crime.
There it is.
Whoa.
We got it.
So we're going to strip away that nostalgia so that we can actually give this a true modern day rating. We have watched this movie many times with a modern eye, but we got to talk about the pertinent, important details of the movie. Shaun, tell us what you know about this movie.
This is produced by Irwin Winkler, written by Nicholas Pileggi and Martin Scorsese, based on the book by Nicholas Pileggi. Cinematography by Michael Ballhaus, who worked with Scorsese a lot, including After Hours, Last Temptation of Christ, Gangs in New York, The Departed. He also did Dracula for Francis Ford Coppola, Air Force One, and a little movie called Wild Wild West. Very fun movie.
I think it's right in the same vein.
Okay, yeah, yep. Edited by his longtime and amazing collaborator, Thelma Shoemaker, who is just as pivotal part of his movies as he is, and directed by Martin Scorsese. Cast: Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, Lorraine Brasco, Paul Sorvino, Frank Severo, Frank Vincent, Chuck Lowe, Christopher Cerrone, Bo Starr, Michael Imperioli, Mike Starr, and Samuel L. Jackson. While Scorsese was making The Color of Money, he read Nicholas Pileggi's book Wise Guys and loved it. Wanting to do the project, Scorsese called Pileggi, saying he's been looking for this kind of story his whole life. Pileggi responded, "I've been waiting for this call my whole life." The two collaborated on the screenplay, and after about 12 drafts, they had something they could shoot. Scorsese didn't want this film to have traditional story structure. Rather, he wanted a more 60s French New Wave style of storytelling. The writing duo also changed most of the names in the film. Al Pacino and John Malkovich were considered for the role of Jimmy Conway, but when De Niro was on board, the production company granted the film's budget on the spot.
Yeah.
Sean Penn, Alec Baldwin, Val Kilmer, and Tom Cruise were considered for Henry Hill, but De Niro had seen Ray Liotta in Something Wild, and Scorsese loved his energy in that movie. Ray Liotta lobbied hard for this role as the studio wanted a bigger name on the project. Principal photography began in summer of 1989 in Queens, New York, New Jersey, and parts of Long Island. During the shoot, Scorsese encouraged improvisation from the actors. He made transcripts of the improvised scenes and would pick the best lines, rewrite the scene, and film it that way. Goodfellas was released on September 21st, 1990, with a budget of $25 million, Scorsese's biggest budget of that time. The film went on to make $47.1 million, was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. Joe Pesci won for Best Supporting Actor, and has become one of the greatest and most realistic gangster movies of all time.
Well, we know you got at least one friend who loves this movie just as much as you do. Please, the best way to support this podcast, aside from joining the Patreon, you can listen to this for free every week. Just help share the word. Share. Send it to your buddy. Hit the little share icon. Tell them to give us a listen. Go to our website, Confused Breakfast. Check out our ratings. Buy some merch. Every once in a while, we'll start getting a few negative reviews on the podcast platforms. Like, I don't like how you did this. And so this is our every 6-month plea to say, go hit a couple 5 stars if you haven't done it yet.
If you don't mind.
The nerds are getting a hold of our podcast ratings, so go hit a couple 5 stars. Those are the best free ways you can support this free podcast.
I don't like how I laugh so much. The Thing's a serious movie.
So moving on, up next we got AJ. He does the research for us, hooks us up with the ratings and reviews from critics and fans alike. What you got, AJ?
Oh my God, what is that? Is that blood? No, it's the blood of tomatoes.
Tomato meter! Tomato sauce.
Gross. Paulie handled the tomato sauce.
I put too much onions in there.
96% certified fresh on the tomato mater.
Wow.
Of all the movies we have done, 96% takes it to number 9 on the list we've done. Just below Back to the Future, just above The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's a good movie.
I know, but 95%.
Can we get away from it, please?
It's a great
Can we
movie.
just
Hey.
let it go?
The critics have spoken, and they are the gods who tell us what we need to know.
Sometimes I get it right.
Yeah, sure. 97% audiences agreed with the critics for the most part, and 8.7 on IMDb.
Where do you think? What number you guessing on our list? We've done 8.7.
I think it is number 4.
Number 4.
I'm going to go 12.
Tied at number 1 with The Matrix.
Whoa.
And that's how messed up the IMDb scale is. If you think our scale's messed up, IMDb, we've done 100 plus movies, and 8.7 is the highest we've gotten. With Goodfellas and The Matrix. What is above that?
It seems more accurate than the tomato meter, for sure.
Goddamn.
Evil Dead, 8.6.
It is just the harshest critic out there, I guess. It's just the conglomeration of all critics.
Yeah, you're probably
Well,
right.
you know why? Is because you're going to get a bunch of nerds like this that
Yes.
AJ is going to read.
I can't wait. First, before we get to the nerds, let's get to the super nerds like Gene Siskel.
Get paid for it.
Chicago Tribune, 100 after 100.
What? Damn, bro.
Yeah. All of the performances are first rate. Pesci stands out, though, with his seemingly unscripted manner. Goodfellas is easily one of the year's best films. That was September of 1990.
All right.
Damn, bro. Thank you.
In Washington Post, I just kind of took the last little excerpt of this. It says, Scorsese seems to have gone for broke, but Goodfellas, which he co-scripted with Pileggi, is not just a feature-length random killing spree. It's an unleashing of his talents. There's a gutsy passion there, as well as a horrifying, unblinking view of humanity. Artistically, at least, Scorsese has managed to make crime pay.
Nice. That was beautiful.
Got him.
Damn.
And that was another 100 out of 100. Desson Thompson. Thompson? Yeah, he said, he went on to say, one of Martin Scorsese's most brutal but stunning movies, an incredible, relentless experience about the single-minded pursuit of crime.
I like it.
Look at
Lovely.
that.
How about some 10 out of 10s, guys?
Yeah.
Let's talk about some.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some nerds.
They're
here.
different than 100 out of 100s.
Yeah, you know, billion out of a billion, said Anthony Rocks.
Rocks.
Yes, he does.
is entitled, What Do You Mean I'm Funny? Funny How? 10 out of 10. Explosive, stylish, fast-paced. Only a few words to describe this classic gangster epic. Have seen it over 40 times and counting. One of the best movies ever made.
All right.
10 out of 10. Pootie Doody said gangster.
Gangsta.
Gangster.
Darla.
Gangster. Can't get enough of this mobster classic. De Niro is an acting school of talent. Joe Pesci is hilarious in this. Like,
Yeah.
Well, funny how.
Come on. Easy.
Score him to his face.
Yeah, Scorsese's masterpiece has a little bit of everything. Last 10 out of 10. It is an amazing gangster movie, period, Oliver said.
Wait, is that critical?
No, this is...
Okay, thank you.
He didn't get paid to write one sentence.
This is amazing.
This is amazing.
What you eating there, sport? Apple.
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 Never thought Dennis the Menace would get brought up in a Goodfellas episode.
We will cover that.
Probably.
Ugh. I love this movie. Robert De Niro.
Come on.
Acting was really good. And other actors like Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci was pretty good. And the story was good. And overall, I like this movie big time.
Wait. What was the rating?
10 out of 10.
Yeah, everything was good.
Oh, it was good.
You know what?
Robert De Niro. I mean,
I liked it.
The whole movie, like as everything like kind of wrapped up and everything was good.
I just like
I
that.
liked it big time.
I just like that Robert De Niro, his name is just a sentence in this.
Robert De Niro.
No, you didn't hear like that's an official thing. You have to just end. Anytime you say to Robert De Niro, it just has to have a period after it.
Robert De Niro.
Give it the respect it deserves, okay?
That was a ... It's just like Robert De Niro.
I mean,
What can I say?
last one, based on how it's written, it's a 1 out of 10, simply entitled Don't Watch.
Oh,
Thank God.
Said Lord Suleiman.
I think we've had something by him before, haven't we?
No way.
I hope.
Okay.
It reads a very specific way, so I'll do my best. Don't watch. It'll waste your time. It's a very bad movie, extremely bad. Watch Godfather instead and Irishman, but this is a very bad movie, very, very bad. I don't know why I watched this. There's so much of it, I regret it. This deserves 0 stars. I'm angry. A startlingly inept film. Nothing is good about this. No good story. Extremely bad. Ending. There's nothing good in this movie. I don't know why it's so highly rated, but I hate it. I hated this movie. It's boring. The more one sees the movie characters, the less appealing the movie. If you can keep both eyes open while you watch this whole 3-hour length, you're a better man than I am. Okay.
That's exactly the way that
I
was
can think of a
written.
better movie right now, Home Alone 2.
I think of a better movie.
Go watch that.
I think of a better
Cinematic
movie.
masterpiece.
Much better movie.
Unbelievable.
Screamingly better.
Hey, and just for you out there that are about to hit the 1-star button, this is not a political. We were not making fun of Donald Trump, nor were we supporting Donald Trump.
Nope.
We were just using AJ's amazing ability to do impersonations. So that's it.
Even
move
our,
on.
Even
Move
our
on.
opinions on these movies don't matter.
No, just
So,
move on.
Who's Donald Trump?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
That's just your voice?
Yeah, it's just how I thought the guy sounded in my head.
I'm so sorry.
We're done, you guys.
We're done.
That's it for us.
Instead of Irishman's very bad. Very bad. Very bad.
Well, is that all you got,
That's
AJ?
all I got.
Before we start on the scene-by-scene breakdown of this amazing movie, it's time to talk about our friends and incredible sponsor and supporter of this podcast, Cedar Ridge Whiskey. You've heard us talk a lot about the quintessential American single malt. Up until today, I have gone on record and called the quintessential American single malt the best single malt ever created. And I'll stand by that, but things have changed.
Uh-oh.
They recently released a single cask version of the quintessential American single malt, where the same single malt they finished it in a first fill sherry barrel and then did not dilute it. 150 and 12.6 proof. It is by far the best thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. Smooth, got this sweet finish. I like to picture that this is exactly what gangsters and mobsters would be drinking. It is just neat. Don't put anything in it. Just sip on it. It's one of the best things I've ever tasted. I bought 2 bottles, and unfortunately, this stuff's gone. It was a single cask. It was on the shelves. It was gone.
Why is it not here?
Well, it's at my house. I should have brought it.
Son of a...
Sorry, I have a baby now. I can't remember things. But the best part about this is that they do a lot of small batch stuff. So go out, buy their flagship bourbon, get their regular quintessential single malt Slipknot collaboration. But follow them on social media because they do a lot of lotteries, a lot of single barrel stuff, small batch collections. You got to follow them on their social media. Search for them online. Go to cedarridgewhiskey.com. Get all the links while you're there. Browse their whiskey selection. Order some straight to your door. Just grab a bottle. Just get whatever. I don't even care. You will love it. We get so many stories from people that say how much they love it. It's over across the pond now. It's everywhere. Please support Cedar Ridge Whiskey for directly allowing us to do this and keep this free content for you guys.
Yeah, someone messaged me on Instagram or messaged us on Instagram and said, what do you suggest? I said, you know what? If you're just a casual bourbon drinker, just go for the straight bourbon whiskey. Just get that. If you like that, you're going to love everything else.
Yeah.
Boom.
Absolutely.
So, cedarridgewhiskey.com.
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 Well, boys, what do you say we put on our best, absolutely hideous suit, kiss our wives, kiss our wives and kids goodnight, head over to grab our mistresses, who are way hotter, and meet down at the Copacabana to see our pal Bobby Vinton sing.
Let's do that.
Just a couple of wise guys drinking, laughing, listening to our favorite crooner. Sounds like an amazing evening.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Just some few good fellas.
There we go.
Just a couple fucking good pedals. Okay, here we go. The film opens with Henry Hill, Jimmy Conway, and Tommy DeVito committing a murder. We now go back in time to the 1950s to meet a young Henry Hill who begins to work for the local mob and quit school. He's teamed up with young Tommy to sell cartons of cigarettes, but Henry is arrested. He gets a slap on the wrist and money and respect from Jimmy for his silence.
Look, guys, I don't know how many times I mistake a flat tire that I have with a body in my trunk.
Right.
But I've done it maybe like 8 times.
It's crazy, dude.
It's just, I don't know. It's kind of the same sound, you kind of running over just like dead rubber.
Right.
And then the sound of someone punching at your trunk. It's just kind of the same.
Maybe you should get that half dead guy out of your trunk.
I try.
Yeah, when you drive these giant boats, like there's just so much space back there in that trunk, you kind of forget what you put in there.
And they probably do too. They probably, I just said, live here now.
I live here now.
This is my apartment.
It's bigger than my apartment.
It's like Harry Potter under the stairs.
Yes.
It's just
guy in the trunk.
It's just guy in the trunk, but he's bleeding constantly. I don't know what happened.
It's super weird.
I don't know what happened.
Dudes, this movie is a master class in how to do a movie soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I purposely left this off of our top 5 movie soundtracks. Go back and listen to it for a reason, because I knew we were going to get to this. I'll talk about it throughout the whole movie, but this thing just perfectly follows the time period, except for the end, which we'll talk about later. But this intro, so many recent movies we've done have been so boring. Like, I hate the credit scene where it's just like, here's 4 minutes of credits before we're going to get started. They do it right. They give you a few names. They go into this thing that's going to get you brought in. Then they immediately pull you out with this first song, Rags to Riches, 1953. This happy song. Some guy just got murdered, and they're just like happy music that is flipping it from 1970 back to 1953, where we're going to go. The red blood taillights in their faces. This movie is a masterclass in movie soundtrack, and we will continue to talk about it throughout this whole thing.
Scorsese and Pileggi, when they were writing, he had all these songs in mind, pretty much. Mm-hmm. He was either most of them were in the script, if not, when on set, he would come up with them in editing, and then once they got to filming, he knew that he was going to use a certain song, and so he played it while they were filming, just to get the rhythm and everything right with all these sons. We'll keep talking, by the way, as we get.
Yeah, it's now this soundtrack is set while we're in the 55, I think is where we're at now, the late 50s for the early Henry Hill stuff. This whole soundtrack is just songs from the 50s that they would have been listening to at the time of this movie.
Yeah. I It's that musical juxtaposition that they want to play, taking you from a very, very dark place to, like, literally and figuratively, and then going, let's go back to the 50s and have some fun.
The childhood.
Yeah.
Let's go back to a simpler time. Happy music.
Let's just go back. And ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be a gangster.
Yeah.
Like that's
one of the
just-
greatest lines ever.
Yeah, and so that starting scene is rough.
Yeah.
He just pulls out a butcher knife that's bigger than him and just goes in on that dude.
Yeah.
And then Bobby De Niro just comes in and fires off a few rounds. Apparently needed to test the gun or something.
It's sort of like foreshadowing for the modern video world of like if you're making a YouTube video, like a long form YouTube video, you got to throw one of your more interesting things right at the beginning,
Right.
just to get people to be like, oh, there's a how? Oh, wow.
Well, I'm shocked.
Yes, I should probably stick around and watch the movie. It's like he was doing this and this. Like if they would have started right on Henry Hill, that's fine. We still would have watched. We would have been like, okay, but already knowing where it's gone, it's kind of great because then you're like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Right.
How did they fucking get here?
How did they get here?
I love the voiceover in Scorsese films as well, and I think it's maybe done the best in this movie of all the movies he's done. Like Casino does it, Irishman does it.
All
I think
of them.
Departed
does.
Oh, God, yeah.
DiCaprio does some of that.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
But Ray Liotta is just, he's the voice of Tommy Vercetti in Vice City. He's just
That's right.
Yes.
he's just this actor. His voice is so synonymous for me, at least, with gangsters. And
He's Henry Hill.
he
dude.
is Henry Hill, and it's. I love the narration. I love it. I love being told the story as we're watching it. Being told like almost an unreliable narrator-ish kind of.
Right. Yeah.
But then you're seeing this stuff happen, and I just love it. I love this technique of the voiceover.
It's like a play it's like a play on him and his confession of it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like his confession to the FBI or whoever is what it feels like to me. That he's like, because it's not an enthusiastic narrator.
Right.
And that's the same thing. And I think that's another common theme of Scorsese films is like it's not an enthusiastic narration ever.
It's a beat down, like it's Henry Hill in 1984 going,
Yeah.
where do I start?
Yeah.
Like, and
It's
that's
perfect.
kind of it, And it's like, I mean, as far as I knew, I wanted to be a gangster. It's like, this is not the time. Like I was in heaven because I was just, I was supposed to be in school, but I was, parking cars and parking Cadillacs and I could barely see over the wheel, that kind of thing, It's still not enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Sean,
So-
what do you think about the mid freeze frame that he does so often in this movie?
I really love it.
I do too.
And I know you're not a big fan of freeze frames.
I'm not a fan of freeze frame at the end.
At the end, okay.
But this is so perfect.
It is. The movie's so fast. Everything is so fast, and it's all the filmmaking is fast. There's like 93 tracking shots in this of just like either pulling up or pulling back. It's all moving, and really, what it says is just like how fast you can kind of get involved with this stuff, and how fast you can kind of get lost.
Oh wow,
in it.
that's cool.
It's a really. I think it's why it's a masterpiece because it's just like filmmaking wise, you are being inundated to the mob.
Dude.
It's strange because it's not a movie you want to do this with, but it is a movie, however, that you could probably fall into it at any point and be like, oh, I probably know who these guys are.
Yeah.
I can tell what's going on, like what's bad and what's good, what should happen, what shouldn't. I can tell why this is it's a mob movie, right?
As far as the freeze frames go, I think it's a because it's so fast paced. It's a
Yeah.
nice pause to be
Hey,
like,
dude.
okay, this is important.
Take a breath.
Here's kind of a change in my life right here. So we're just gonna hang up a little bit and then we're gonna keep going.
But he's also like he has so much to say that it's like they have to pause it to be like, hold on, I have to keep talking about this scene.
Yes.
Just hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait.
Just hold
Yes.
on.
Before you
It's
turn
always
the page.
it's like mid action too,
Exactly.
as it's happening. It's like freeze frame on a guy's face going, ah. It's like, hold on, let me get something in before you move forward.
That's
on that.
good. That's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Before you make an assumption.
The kid who plays young Henry.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
he's great, man.
Uncanny to Ray Liotta. Like when I first saw this movie, I'm like, oh, they just filmed this kid. I think kind of like in Bronx Tale they do this, right?
Yeah.
But they actually did it. I don't know about that specifically. But when I first saw this, I was like, oh, that's young Ray Liotta, I guess. And they just waited till he got. Like I
Right.
seriously thought that.
There's they didn't do that in Bronx Tale necessarily, but they had some good kid actors,
Okay.
who went through it, and they were very, very they looked great by comparison, and they looked like that kid looked like Robert De Niro's son, like that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
They do it really well in this too, and it's the kid growing up and his Irish dad, and it's
Bo Starr.
Yeah.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, Mike Starr's brother.
I was wondering if they were related.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Mental.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he shows up later.
We'll get to him.
We'll get to you. But no, this is this is all I think about of kids growing up in the 50s
100%.
in the city is
Playing
just
stickball.
playing stickball, and you got bad grades. All right, Like, that's it. That's it. That's all you can think about.
It's so great though, because like many of the people listening to this, us included, grew up like whether you were blue collar, or your parents were rich or poor, like you still had some structure, and you weren't like living next door to a mob. So like this seems unbelievable, but you can understand exactly how this would happen. This is not far-fetched at all. If you just got a taste of that coolness that you thought was so cool, and then all of a sudden, like they're standing up for you, and they're get your friends are carrying your mom's groceries home because they have the respect for you and what you're doing. That is there's so many moments in this where this is just so intoxicating throughout the movie.
Yeah.
That people are just going like, well, yeah, of course I'd join the mob. Why wouldn't I?
Imagine how fucking fun this would
Yes.
be. Like, especially as a kid, like you're parking cars, and then you go from parking cars to blowing the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And then like you must feel invincible, especially as a kid, because
At
you're
that
not getting in
point.
trouble with any of that.
Exactly. It's like it's somehow terrifying actually because he does feel so invincible.
Yeah.
That's like the bad part of it.
I love how the mailman thing, where he gets in trouble for getting bad grades, so they attack his mailman.
Right.
To say do not bring, they specifically say do not bring any letters home that come from this school.
Yeah.
And the mailman's like, you know what? I don't want to fuck up. I don't want to have to sort through this and accidentally, so I'm just not going to deliver their mail.
Right.
Like, he goes, I'm just going to double check this and make sure that I don't get in trouble. No more mail going to their house. I don't care if that's from Sears. Not going.
Oh, we're Sears. The Sears catalog?
Nope, that might be from the school. I'm not sending it.
Might be where they get a school uniform or something.
I don't know. I don't know. Remind them about school or something.
So he meets De Niro, and like once you see De Niro, it's just like, God damn it. This movie, I mean, almost every movie he's in is almost perfect.
Yeah.
Meet the fuckers.
Yeah, there you go.
Little did I know that every movie that was in that list for Patreon, it was a Robert De Niro movie to some degree.
It's because who else are you going to put in?
It's true.
In a gangster role.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's the best. And like there were movies in there that he wasn't a gangster, the gangster, but it doesn't matter. He needs to be in a gangster movie. It's just a staple.
Hey, do you want to watch this gangster movie? I'm not feeling like it. De Niro's in it. All right, pop it on.
Who's in it? Let's see. Al Pacino, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci. I don't know. Robert De Niro. Yeah, I'll pop. Yeah. I'll watch it. Yeah.
Give it a try. See, let's do it.
Why not?
Yeah, I think and it's fun to see him kind of not front and center in this. Like Ray Liotta is obviously the main character, but he's almost kind of more of a side character. He doesn't have that much lines as you would think Robert De Niro would, You're absolutely right. There's
so many characters in this movie that there's not enough time to get everybody on screen.
Yeah.
A lot of times you won't see Pesci for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with Jimmy. You won't see him for 20, 30 minutes. And then, oh
Right.
shit, there he is. But that's why they're all so good. When they pop on screen,
Yes.
They're like, I got it.
Sorry, I stole the movie.
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go take another 20 minutes. Come back.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
There's so many people, and it feels like an ensemble cast, honestly, but it's just very much led by those three.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's fun to learn about all the other people though too along the way.
So as adults, Henry and Tommy conspire with Conway to steal cargo at the airport. It's successful, and Henry gains more of Paulie's trust along with a lot more money. Henry meets and falls in love with Karen, and they are married. So now the music has taken a shift. Now the movie music has moving into the 60s. And now it's the parlance of the time. It's what they're listening to. This is a perfect, again, like the way you should score a period piece like this is just to have the music be the ensemble of what we're listening. And it switches like as the time frames, it switches right over. And you don't know it's happening. It just happens.
I think that's so important. There are movies that I will watch that could be, and there's only a couple of movies that I've ever thought got away with it. But when they have like a medieval movie or a movie in the 20s, but then they play like
Ball with the ball,
or like some sort of, or even Jimi Hendrix, or like ooh, 5-finger death punch,
yeah,
because they're gonna be shooting up a lot of places. I'm just like, I'm out. I'm out.
It's
completely.
not that hard.
I'm out. It's not
There's
hard.
good music from in the 1820s. People loved whatever they were listening to.
Yeah.
And it's good music, so put it in the era.
It's also a thought process of this is what they were listening to. Those gangsters were listening to this movie and shooting and stabbing people.
It was influencing their actions maybe at the time. You know, you never know. Like the Shangri-Las were playing as someone was getting the shit kicked out of them or whatever, you know. It's incredible, and he does this throughout all of his movies, really. Like Casino is another good one. That's more of a confined era. But even The Irishman is basically like that. There's so many songs, one right after, and sometimes there's like even 5 seconds of one, and then it cuts to another one.
And there's
right
a
away.
reason for that.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we need these 5 seconds of this song. It has to be in there.
Yeah, like I think later on, more towards the end, they had John Lee Hooker or something like that. It was like that blues number, and it lasts for like the intro line, and then cuts to like a Stone song or something.
Yeah, super fun.
I didn't realize how many oneers there were in this movie until we talk about that with our critical rewatch. It's fun to think about this. I've seen this movie so many times, so I tried to go from a different angle, and that first one that we see is brilliant of the introductions of all the mobsters.
I love it. So we got Fat Andy, Ricky Eyes, Jimmy 2 times. You said everything twice. I'm gonna go get the papers. Get the papers.
Because of course, just do it. Just say the line. Okay, cool. Move on.
It's so good. I love.
And it's like a minute and 15 seconds of coming in and seeing everyone, and then perfectly turning around, saying hello, how are you? You know, like it's so good.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I took care of that thing I fucked.
Yeah.
It's like what?
What did you say?
Yeah, and some of those people are real too, like Michael Francis, who now has like a YouTube channel and is like out of the life apparently, which it's just I'll get to it when we get more deep into like the cattiness of the mob and the like kids in the sandbox. This is fucking ridiculous to me. I got to be honest.
It's sort of like bike gangs.
It is.
Like motorcycle gangs is like, what are you doing?
Oh, you called me a name? I got to call you a name back. That's basically what the fucking mob... I can't believe it's so childish. And I respect it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I respect you. I respect it.
I love you.
Lots of respect. I like to think about how many people are actually named Frank.
Wait, what were the two names they say? Is Frank and Phil or something like that?
Or it was Paul and Peter.
Paul and Peter
at the wedding.
Paul and Peter. Well, there's Frank Severo, there's Frank Vincent, Frank DeLeo. Like there's like
everybody's named Frank. Their real names.
Yeah, everybody in this, like half of them were named Frank. Frank Pellegrino.
He went on to make
Frank Adonis. That's 5. So I think there's so many Frankies. Frankie, yeah.
What? You saw me say my name? We got to talk about Pesci.
So
we have to.
This scene.
The funny
how?
scene.
Yeah.
Well, first to set the stage, Goodfellas and Home Alone came out in the same year. And I believe Goodfellas came out before Home Alone.
I think so.
So keep in mind you're just a normal person. You don't really know Pesci at this point. I think he'd been in a few things. Yeah, he'd been in a few things.
I think My Cousin Vinny was maybe 80.
I think that was
89 or something maybe.
But think about this is how you know Pesci, and then all of a sudden he's in Home Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird if you think about those happening in the same year. But dude, this funny guy scene, like,
it's phenomenal.
It's the most intimidating thing I think I've ever witnessed.
I want to lead up to this because these two met each other at the truck. Right. So beforehand.
This was the first time I realized that was young Tommy.
Exactly. That's young Joe Pesci, right? And so they meet.
Cigarette scene.
The cigarette.
Yeah, okay.
Outside the truck and everything. Hey, this is Tommy. He's going to be working for me inside.
Oh, yeah.
Never realized
and the voice was brilliant. If they did a voiceover, if it was actually the kid. Hey, how you doing? He's got that Joe Pesci thing going. I always think of like Jim Brewer. Hey, Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I'm Joe Pesci. It's just like, dude.
Don't say that to him, dude.
Don't say that. But I always think about that. And then, so they've known each other for so long. And then you get this scene between those two.
Yeah.
After he basically tells the
they've
guy
known
to
each
get
other
lost.
forever.
They've known each other for
Like
so
fucking
long.
best friends.
Like funny how? Like funny how? Well, Tommy, just funny. I don't know. I didn't mean it.
Yeah,
It's just
but
funny.
how do you describe how if you do? He's right though. Like if I say, AJ, you're so funny, like I can't answer that. I cannot answer what he's responding back to me. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're just funny.
Just
you
the
make
way
me laugh.
the way you tell the story.
Like,
It's
what do
just
you
funny.
mean? But like how? What do you mean? And it's like it's just such a dick move that
Yeah.
he's doing to him.
It is. It's a power move. It's that sandbox
Yes.
play again. This is a thing that apparently really happened to Joe Pesci.
right.
Can you believe that?
He was working in a restaurant and he said this to a guy who was inside.
Yeah.
You know.
He's just trying to
was
be polite and be like,
a
"Hey, you're
member.
really funny, man."
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, you're really funny and stuff." And the guy literally said to him, like, "Funny how? Like, what are you talking about?" And it scared him. And he told this to Scorsese. He was like, "We need to use that.
That's going in the fucking.
We need to
And
do
didn't
this."
didn't they say that like the cast didn't necessarily know that this was going to happen?
all the extras around them, they had no idea, and so all their reactions are genuine. Like,
I love
what
that.
is going on?
Are you
Yeah.
like, are we good here? Are we still
Yeah.
rolling? What's happening here?
Yeah, and just I love thinking about that on set, but then somebody in one of those extras, 7 of them probably actually, looked over at Scorsese and was just like,
Should we break
"Oh,
this
like,
up?
well, like, yeah, well, you know, come on, Tommy, what do you mean? Oh, you're a big boy, you can talk. It's like, this is going too far, right? Like,
Who's got the better laugh though in this movie? Is it Ray Liotta or is it De Niro later on? Like at the poker game, like they both have this
I think
obnoxious, like, what is this? The Ray Liotta gif? Like,
yeah.
it must be like a sign of respect because they're overly like they are
Yeah.
laughing, but they're like making it so loud. De
Yeah.
Niro does it later in the movie. It's like a sign of respect thing, I think, to just be like, no, like you're awesome.
Yeah.
I'm letting everyone else know you're really funny.
I think it's Ray Liotta because it's so obnoxious. Like that's the definition of guffawing.
Yes.
So,
it really is because and he's like grabbing other
Yeah.
guys, you know, like hitting other guys and stuff, and they're like he's egging everybody else on. It's like you better laugh at Tommy,
better.
but don't call him funny.
Tommy, get the fuck out of here. He's like, I almost had him.
Fuck
I
him.
almost
Come
had
on.
him.
I almost had him.
This fucking guy.
Still crazy.
What do you think about, when they meet up, when he meets Karen then? And there's this kind of like weird double date. He wants out. I love him talking over. It'd be like they were ordering dessert. I was asking for the check.
Yeah.
I love because they're totally not interested in each other. And then it's funny because she fucking hates him.
Right.
But then she cries, and then all of a sudden like he ditches her, and she's like, I want him.
Yeah.
Is that just the original like treat a woman like dirt, she'll stick to you like mud thing?
I guess so. I mean, she
hates him.
seems kind of into like the more rough side of this guy, and I think that she can maybe see that,
Okay.
because she says later, I gotta be honest, it turned me on. Like when he beats the shit out of her
And
neighbor.
then he said hide
Yeah.
the gun, and
Yeah.
she's like, I'm kind of into it.
Yeah. Most women leave the guy they're seeing if they hand him a gun.
Yeah.
For some reason, turn me on.
Yeah, like I think that's
It's a
kind of
bloody
it
gun.
with her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Lorraine Brasco in this.
Yeah,
role.
she's great.
She was nominated as well for Best Supporting Actress, and I don't know who won, but I think she deserved it wholeheartedly.
She said, I think in an interview that with so many strong, unbelievable male characters, that she felt she had to go all out in every scene she was in, or else it was going to end up on the cutting floor. Like she basically said, I just had to go for it because standing next to me is Pesci, De Niro, Liotta.
And she's not even talking like as a woman. She's talking about these are actors.
Yeah.
These are my acolytes. I have to be big because they are just in their presence so big.
She did it.
Yeah.
I liked her performance.
Absolutely.
100%.
She's amazing in this.
Yeah.
So yeah, before this, I like the casual nature of how they explain like what Paulie does for people, and so he like gets in on their business and helps them out until they pretty much go bankrupt and can't do it anymore. And so they burn the place down. I love how they're talking about going on a date so casually while they're waiting for arson to happen.
It's pretty awesome.
It's so fucking funny.
It shows they have no concern in the world of getting in trouble for anything.
No, not at all. Not whatsoever.
It shows about them growing up in this life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've been around it for so long; it's become the norm.
Oh, we're just gonna burn the place down.
It's just the norm, you know. And yeah, talking about earlier on they're talking about the racketeering basically he's basically like the police for these small businesses, but they weren't the police. You know, he was helping protect them and stuff. And then he's talking about like, well, you know. He's like, basically, he got involved, and you bought a case for this, you sold it out the back door for $100, and it didn't matter because it was all your money anyways.
Yeah.
Something happens here, fuck you, pay me. Something happens there, fuck you, pay me.
Yeah,
It really, I guess, kind of makes you make sense of maybe how serious this is. It could be, even if you're just maybe Pauly, and I like Sorvino's performance a lot as well.
Yeah,
and he actually wanted to get out of this role like 2 days before they started shooting his scenes because he's like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not scary enough. I can't do this.
I disagree.
He was like 2 days before, like asking his agent, he's like, just think over it overnight. And as he was like in his hotel, he was just like walking by the mirror one time, and he's like scared himself. The way he looked scared him. He's like, oh, well, that's it. I'll just use that face.
That blank face stare of his is like, okay, I'm sorry.
But he is also so lovable too.
Yeah.
And so there's that weird juxtaposition here. There's that word again. That you like him and you almost want a hug by him, but then also he's very, very menacing looking.
When they show the behind the scenes stuff that a lot of these movies don't show, like they're just hanging out at a barbecue.
Right.
He's just like eating a hot dog.
Right.
But he's staring.
He's not doing anything half the time. Like when that might have been previously, but when the two guys drive up in the car and they're messing around, he's like, doing that, and Paul walks out the door.
Looks at him.
And he's like, and he kind of just goes back in, only says like a couple words, and the guys are like, well, you shouldn't have started. You started. Why'd you do that? You're trying to do that and stuff. It's just
Kids
like
and dad just came out.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. He is scary in this, but again, that goes back to that mafia mobster mentality, I think, of these are gentlemen.
Yeah.
Until they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
do not let your guard down.
That's the scariest thing about it, I think, of that world is how truly how scary it really is. And again, the opposite ends of the spectrum, looking nice, dressing, treat your girl nice, do all this good stuff, and later that night they're burning places down and killing dudes. And you're just like, whoa. It's just 0 to 100. That's it.
So we get Copacabana.
Yeah.
And every film nerd talks about this
Copacabana.
scene. I mean, rightfully so, but like it's just like every video there is out there, just like, oh, Scorsese, oh, the oneer. Oh,
so
my
anyway,
God.
can we do that too? Because it's really
we're gonna do it.
It's like 3 minutes long.
It's incredible.
The water.
Oh my God,
Scorsese. I was pulling 2 wieners. Dude.
yeah, that's good.
Help each other out.
So
But it's rightfully so, man.
Yeah, the owner of the they did it out of necessity too, which is really cool to hear. They couldn't go through the front. They didn't want to show going through the front apparently for some reason. So they had to go through the back, and it makes it so much better because you can believe that this made guy, gets a special privilege, other than anybody else, and just the amount of extras that are there. And like walking by camera and like how choreographed this all has to be.
One person messes it up at minute 2.45. Like, damn it!
Mostly
Full
Henny
reset.
Youngman, yeah, mostly, right? Henny,
Is that
It's Henry Youngman,
Henry Youngman,
the guy on stage.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was mostly him messing it up because he forgot his lines, and he
What?
was like at the very end.
Wait a minute. Okay, because I wanted to call out how genius this is that they get through the end of the oneer and he tells his joke, his one joke. He tells like the intro to the joke. And like you want to know that it would be stupid for them to show the full joke on stage.
Yeah.
It's like it's a waste of time. But you want to hear what the joke is, so they make the joke continue through the whole next scene. which I thought was like a move, but you're just telling me, he just couldn't get his line, so we just...
No, I'm just saying, like, they did it like maybe 7 times.
And they'd get to the end, and he'd be like... Ugh.
He'd be like, oh, shit, I'm sorry, guys. Like, okay, reset.
Oh,
you know?
my God.
But, yeah, I think what you're talking about, just fading that into the next scene, is just...
Yeah, they're like at the airport in the next scene or something like that.
It's almost like continuing the oneer audibly into... Yeah,
Oh, my God.
It's just so good.
And what a power move, dude. But what a power move from Henry Hill, though. Yeah.
It's
like,
really cool.
I've gotten reservations at a real nice place before, you know, and like my table's waiting for me. But like to have them bring out a table for you that was non-existent, that is baller. That is right in front of the stage.
Yeah.
Also, like the amount of movements too of for the camera. It is mostly just a steady cam following them. But once they sit down, you know, like the waiter's got to be there. The guy puts the lamp on and everything, and then the table next to him gets him the champagne. And he's like, "Oh, thanks, guys." Pans over for 1 sec, and then comes back. Right. It's just like, God damn it!
It's like Total Recall in this fucking Martin Scorsese. Goodfellas. Did you see the wild
Italian food? This is great. 10 out of 10 for me.
Yep, there it is.
Okay. No, I like to point. I would want to point out that Henry Hill now is doing what he saw Jimmy do in the beginning. He wants to be Jimmy. That's what he wants to do. It's like this emulation. He's like he handed several people a $100 bill by the time he was like to his table, you know, and giving out all this money, like when he's putting money into his own pocket, you know. And everybody wanted to be around Jimmy. Everybody wanted to be nice to him and stuff. And he wanted to be Jimmy, you know, and that's the big, it's this passing of the torch, even though he hasn't passed it to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even like, as we'll get to it towards the end, I'll wait till then, but it is scary rewatching this movie and knowing how the relationship ends up, you know, even like, he will kill him if he has to. Right. You know, and it's just like, God damn, but that's your friend, though.
Mm-hmm. It's as if, like, we finished this episode. We just had a great 2-hour episode, and AJ's like, can I get you guys a beer? Yeah, get us a beer. And AJ walks out the room, and we shoot him in the back. Like, right. That's how weird that is.
Yeah.
Like, we could never imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we couldn't.
Yeah.
No one would ever do that.
No. No, we just want to jerk each other up. They get to the marriage scene. I thought there was a really cool moment here where she realizes that life has changed. They're dancing. They just got all that money. Mm-hmm. Who knows how much money that is?
Yeah.
And all those envelopes. And the first thing she thinks about is like, did you secure the bag?
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about?
You don't gotta do that here.
And the sense of security that brings, where, I mean, we can all have that in our own lives of being in a room with your closest friends and family. You know that we just don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And for her to realize that like this is her new life and her new family, it's kind of a cool moment. She's like, it sets up her to just be like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We're fine. Right. At least for a while, we're fine.
Yeah, right. And I do like everyone's kissing her on the cheek and giving her money and everything, and then she sees the line of what's got to happen. You know, it's like, oh God, really, everybody? Yeah, I do like the way. I don't know what it seems like to me, but like back when I see like even my mom's wedding photo, she's like, why was your dress so fucking hideous and big?
What? What'd you say?
Sorry, Mom.
What are you talking about?
But it's just like, why did things look so tan back then for some reason? And it's the same with this. I'm like, why is there a tinge of tan in your wedding? I don't know.
No one knows.
Does that okay?
I know what you're talking about. It's not weddings then and weddings now. It's like back then it was way more of a real ritual.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And there's so much of that, and it had to happen, you know, like it had to happen that way. It had to happen a certain way. There was a lot of tradition, especially with those types of families. Yep. Mm-hmm. A lot of, if you know, you're Jewish, you're Italian, or
Catholic.
Irish Catholic.
This
has to be a certain way, you know, and they're basically putting a lot of these things together.
Yeah.
Because Henry is not like any one of those things, really.
Right.
You know.
I do want to bring up the scene before this where he does beat the fuck out of that dude. Rightfully so. Apparently did some crazy shit to her, but I just like, he's like, hey, fuckwad, you want some of this or something? Like, dude, yeah, I guess you got some. But it is maybe I don't know how they did it. It's maybe the most violent thing I've seen in a Scorsese movie, and that's harsh to say.
Yeah.
Because it looks like he's really fucking hitting him.
I apologize if I said this wrong, but I think like his mom had just died. And he was like, during that scene, he was like funneling some anger.
Ray Liotta?
He looks like he's out for blood. Yeah. For real.
And I may have said that slightly wrong, but I heard that's where that emotion was coming from in that scene for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was really vicious. And like the way the blood comes out, it's just like, oh, there's blood now. But I think I saw it this time where the guy like kind of went like that. But even Michael Ballhaus, the cinematographer, was like, that's the most violent scene I've ever shot in my life. And it's very intense and very, very real. It's
because, this is just my opinion on it, it's because he just turned like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon of checking out the new car.
Me and my bros are washing the car.
Yep, just oiling down the car and doing that. And just like a fun, bright, sunny day afternoon kind of a thing, and turned it into that, you know? And that is what makes it so like brutal. Because like you say, it looks like he's really hitting him. I think that adds to the sound design even.
Yes, very much
because of how well it matches up of him just going to town on this dude.
Yeah.
And just the boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, it would take everything.
It's borderline satisfying in a weird way.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. It would take everything. I'm sure you guys are the same way. It would take everything in me if someone did that to my fiance. It would take everything in me not to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Hit it!
If we were on a train to go punch a face, I'm on board.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is the most. There's no way you guys have this punchable face. This is right before we move on to the next scene. The FBI shows up to raid their house.
Okay.
You know, and she's like, yeah, come on in. You want some coffee, whatever. Whoever, my God, is the whistling guy on television doing the whistling song. He needs to be destroyed, and every evidence of his life ever existing needs to go away. Why did people think that shit was so off? They're like, dude, this guy, he like whistling. He goes, whoop, whoop, whoop,
just a ragtime gal.
Why does that need to happen? Why is that a thing? He's my most punchable face.
I'm with you just because it's so out of left field, and he does scare me. Like makeup they had for people back then was like so gaudy.
I agree, dude.
If it wasn't, I was thinking like Maury or something like that. But other than that, no, I'm gonna go with you on this. I appreciate that. Great call out.
I had to call him out. It's like, come on, dude.
Great call out. Yeah.
All right. So in June 1970, Tommy brutally murders Billy Batts, a made man. This needs to be kept quiet, so they bury him. Henry's marriage deteriorates when Kevin finds he has a mistress. Tommy has an explosive temper and kills a young kid named Spider. Paulie and Jimmy force Henry to reconcile his marriage. Henry and Jimmy are caught and sent to prison. There, Henry deals drugs to support his family.
I do like their relationship as a married couple after this. Henry Hill and Karen, where he's like headed out and he's got like hundreds on him or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I need some money. I want to go shopping." He's like, "How much do you need?"
And she goes,
this starts going down on him. He's like, "Oh, all right."
The dangly ones.
Dangly ones. I don't know.
All right. That's exactly how you said it.
Sucks on his dangly one.
Dang.
They call me the dangly one.
The worst.
So we get Bats.
Billy Bat.
Billy Bat ass.
Bat ass.
Billy Bat ass.
This is where I'm like, respect in this world is so much of a thing, and I hate where he's like, yeah, I want you to go get your shine, but he's like, I don't do that anymore. He's like, yeah, you were a little rude to him. I'll be honest, you were a little rude. It's like
a little disrespectful.
He's drunk. Mm-hmm. You can't take a little bit of a joke. I know it's disrespectful, but whatever.
Right.
Like your ego is like their egos are just so.
It's a fragile thing.
Yeah,
it's fragile.
It makes me so mad.
I hate saying the phrase, but it's that fragile masculinity, like to a T, of just like,
What'd you say?
What'd you say to me? What? You're bringing up my past when I was a child and trying to do something to make some money?
Yeah, but
how dare you?
Look at you now. Like,
This is
realize
great,
where
right?
you're like.
I was trying to pay him a compliment, and it's like I kind of believe him, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, he was the best at what he did, and look at him now. You know, he's
Yeah.
doing great for himself, and it's just like he took that pride all the way through his life, and he's becoming a great man. And it's like you couldn't get that, but instead you went the other way.
Yeah.
Come on, like, and then everybody else, like, and Robert De Niro again, is saying the same thing of, well, you know, you're a little I didn't mean any disrespect. Yeah, it was a little disrespectful. It's like, you know, I didn't mean any disrespect. It was a little disrespectful. It's like nobody can agree with anybody. I'm not going to agree with you because, you know, I'm not going to be on that side of things.
Mhm.
I don't want to be a mediator. I want to be on one side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Sorry.
No, it's almost like they need an official rule guy that just stands around. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
nope. He did not cross the line with that comment because that was more than 20 years ago. Nope, forget it. He did not cross the line.
Wait,
We're marking it down.
I shine.
Shut up.
Excuse me, Richie the ref is in town and he's here.
He blows the
Richard the
whistle and
ref.
goes, nope, that's a foul. Throws a flag. Joe Pesci though, and who was Billy Bats? Frank Vincent.
Frank Vincent. Yes.
They have
Frankie.
they have a crazy past.
They sure do.
Dude, fucking Pesci played guitar in a band with Frank Vincent.
That's so awesome.
And then they were in 3 movies together. In Raging Bull, Pesci beats up Vincent. In Casino, Vincent kills Pesci.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then obviously in this one, Pesci kills Vincent. It's nuts that they just like they were really tight friends
Yeah.
Wow.
in real life.
He's a really good actor too. I think he's in Sopranos probably too.
Probably.
I mean, obviously Lorraine Bracco's in that as well. Yeah, I love him here, and I love him even more in Casino because he's he's Joe Pesci's right hand man. We'll talk more on the Patreon probably of favorite Scorsese's and where they rank. But
Scorsese's.
So I love when they go. He's like, "Oh, we'll go to my mom's. I go pick up a shovel or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, stick around, eat some food." And that's Scorsese's actual mom.
Unbelievable.
She's amazing. She's also in Casino.
Really? Are you sure they don't look anything alike?
No, not at all. They don't talk alike or anything.
You could have told me that was Scorsese in a wig and a nightgown. I would have believed you. Okay, like that's that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was Scorsese in a wig. Oh, cool. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, fine.
They wear the same glasses.
He's a good painter. Whatever. I like. I don't know what. For some reason, the line sticks with me so much, where she's like, "What's the matter with you, Henry? You don't talk. You don't talk ever. You just." And I love when he's just like, "Oh, I'm just listening."
Yeah.
Like for some reason, I love that about him. Or I love that it's an endearing kind of characteristic of Henry that I respect a lot, or I really kind of like. Whereas I really kind of relate to that, where especially when I was younger and like trying to learn through like adult speaking, I guess, which is like, oh, I just listened all the time, and I listened, I picked up on mannerisms and everything, and I really like that about that.
I think that's I had 2 things on that note, because it seems like that's what he does the whole movie.
Yeah,
You know, that's why he follows in the steps of Jimmy. You know, that's why he mimics him. That's why he picks up on those things. That's why he listens. He's listening as a kid. And then the other thing of that, too, is he might still be in shock from the murder they just committed. So
I think AJ's right.
it hasn't been out in a while.
I think AJ's right. No. See, what Scorsese wanted to do. Scorsese wanted to make sure that that it was unknown that he was paying attention. And he's like, no, they just fucking killed the guy.
it might be the dead body rotting in the truck
like,
that's still kicking around.
Henry, you don't speak so much. What's the problem? He's just like,
What?
He's closest to the window. He can hear him hammering through the car trunk.
oh my god, the way he screamed, the way he just was begging for
I
his
couldn't
life.
believe it. Dude, he was a made man. You killed him.
That was my restaurant.
You know how fucked we are.
Also, we're having a full Italian meal at 4 in the morning. I can't do this. Do you know this is not good for my figure?
How do you have this much leftovers?
I'm tired.
There's just 2 of you in this house. I don't even understand it. Nothing makes sense.
We just destroyed Shaun's fucking... No, and I agree with what Shaun said, but this is really awesome.
You mean to tell me?
Oh my God.
We just came from a night of drinking, and now we're gonna eat saucy
Yeah.
marinara sauce covered.
That took 2 hours to prepare. That wasn't just ready to go.
How did you have this here?
Sit down. We're gonna start the meal process.
No, I'm not. The meal process.
Sit down.
Classic Italian.
Yeah, we gotta
start the meal process.
We need to bless the tomato sauce first. We need to throw a cross in it.
It's like cone heads. We're about to consume mass quantities here. All right, let's go.
It's just too much food.
It's too much.
Can't eat this.
I can't eat this much. I'm not hungry anymore. I can't anymore.
So De Niro is the reason this spider gets killed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Pesci, he said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And De Niro, if you notice, De Niro sort of like makes it a joke. He's like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, the kid. Yeah, good for you, kid.
Yeah.
But then he like the evil in him twists around and he goes, you gonna take that from him? He could have easily made that into a joke like he started to do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he just sort of like starts egging him on.
Yeah, you're
to
gonna
be
take
like,
that from this
you
kid.
gonna take that from this?
What's the world coming to?
Yeah, right? Like Jimmy De Niro plays it so well of just like he's a very likable guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'll see him underneath, like the sliminess of him just sort of comes through.
He's incredibly devious. Incredibly devious.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. I think it shows how just crazy of a loose cannon Tommy is too. This is the final scene where you're like, Jesus, dude, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
I hate this guy.
Yeah, this is where it just becomes the worst. Like there's something about and I think this is another thing with like, and Ray Liotta or Henry Hill, seeing this happen, and he was a kid. They were
That
kids.
could have been him.
Yeah,
It could have been him at any point. Now it's almost like this realization, that he has of like anybody could have snapped off on me at any point, being the kid in this group or whatever, shining, being a bar back essentially.
That's basically what
you know what I mean? And he's just hanging out behind the bar. You're not even at the table hardly.
Yeah.
And then he's just dead.
Why don't you go fuck yourself, Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely incredible the way that like you see how much a random life is just nothing kind of, and like it's just drinking and he just fucking blows away. And I love Ray Liotta's reaction where he's just like, he's dead. He's like, I don't have any fucking lime. I gotta take care of this. He's like, I'll get the fucking lime. I'll get the shovel. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna bury him. I'm not dealing with this. It's like saying, I'm not doing those dishes again.
Yeah, it's a little minuscule problem.
Yeah, to them it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's like, are you kidding me? Good Lord.
I do want to bring up their also system of side pieces they have.
Good Lord.
And it's seen, they treat it just the same. Like even Paulie comes over, he's like, hey, whatever your name is. Like they treat them like their wives.
So when they were all at the Copacabana the second time, and when they were showing whatever his first mistress's new apartment was, those were all mistresses.
I believe so.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're not.
They kept it completely separate.
They were just two. Like we're going out tonight with mistresses, and then tomorrow night we're going out with wives.
Yes. Well, they say Saturdays are for the wives and Fridays were for everyone else.
Pieces of shit.
Jesus.
Yeah. Fuck that.
It's just it's stupid.
There's a scene that
I can say.
It's stupid.
There's a scene I really loved when they go over. Paulie and Jimmy go over to tell Henry, like, okay, listen, this has got to stop. I think this is one of the more underrated scenes of the movie where Paulie and Jimmy are just doing this back and forth of like, it's got to stop. Like you go down, you go do that, and then you come back, and then you're not getting divorced.
Go to Tampa. Go take the load off.
But
when you come back, go to Karen.
Yeah, come on. It's that easy, right? But Jimmy, this is Robert De Niro, man, at his best, because he does this line where he basically goes like, he's like, you got to go back. You got to go back. And then he like mutters in like, you can't.
Yes.
You got to go back.
Yeah.
Like it's classic De Niro, and it's just so because he wants to say something more, but he's like, yeah, fuck it. You got to go back.
Yeah. You gotta go back.
Hey, are you all right?
You having a stroke? Or...
You're a star, man. You can't be doing this.
It's
Bobby okay?
And it still goes to show you like how much power the Paulie and Jimmy have over Henry still.
Definitely.
They're like, nah, you still work for us, kid.
The
so
influence.
like do this. Yeah, you still have to do this.
You're fucking up. You need to not be fucking up.
Yeah.
They and I think actually that makes me think like I think it's like they wrap it in influence, but they're telling you what to do.
Yes.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we're wrapping it in a package that says,
Suggesting.
yeah, hey, this is the best thing for you. It's like, no, this is what you're going to do.
Mhm.
You know? Yeah. It's influence, but it's telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they're being, before we move on, they're being in prison. Like, there's a lot of movies where you're like, I don't ever want to go to jail. Like, that's a big concern of many of our lives. But this one, you're like, that actually looks pretty good.
And
Their little mini apartment that they have in jail, I'm kind of into
I
it.
know.
this
It's like,
is accurate.
Yeah.
This is completely 100% accurate. They had a really relaxed time in jail.
Is that right?
When they went to jail, and they had food delivered to them. They had alcohol. It was not a bad time for them at all. There is a YouTube channel called History Buffs. I don't know if you guys did watch that at all for research. It is comparing the movie and the actual true story, and this is actually, I think, the most accurate
Depiction of
mob
mobs.
movie ever made. And even this guy who was really well researched, I highly recommend his channel. History Buffs is awesome. He does this to several movies. Does it to Casino as well. This really happened, and yeah, they got shit delivered to him, and he started dealing drugs in jail and had relationships with the guards and everything. It's just nuts. But yeah, watch that video if you want to learn like the real story, because most of this happened. It's
so
fucking crazy.
that's so wild.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, so scene 4, when he gets out of jail, he continues on in the drug trade despite Paulie's orders. About the same time, Jimmy Conway and friends steal $6 million in a heist. Jimmy grows increasingly paranoid and begins having them murdered. Tommy is murdered after they pretend that he will become a made man. I forgot completely that Samuel L. Jackson was in this movie.
Dude,
Stacks
you
Edwards.
start realizing like and
that
this is-
he's a throwaway character
that-
in this movie.
yeah, Sam L. Jackson was a throwaway character in this. Okay. Everything just starts to kind of unravel at this point. Well, everything feels great, but everything starts to unravel after this, you know? And this is the thing about this movie moving so fast, in my opinion. It's hard to keep track of kind of who's in control.
Right.
You know? Paul, like, he has a conversation with Paul, but then
Lee.
Paul Lee.
Paul Lee.
Like Stanley.
Yes.
Okay.
Paul Lee.
Yeah.
So do you write comics too? Cool. Paul Lee. So he has this conversation with Paulie. I'm sorry. And then,
Oh my God.
will you please say something, AJ, that's relevant?
Fucking say something.
About what? He has this conversation with Paulie, saying, "Don't get into this." He's like, "Tommy's a wild card. Don't get back in with Jimmy. Let him do his own thing. You did a good thing. I'm not going back in. This is not how I'm going to end up." And then basically he just goes and he does it. And then there's kind of this power shift. What I felt was with Henry, of him kind of putting his own thing together, right?
Yeah, because he takes what he was just like, man, this drug business is pretty
Yeah,
dope.
booming.
So I'm gonna take this out of jail, and that's again where the musical soundtrack, I feel, shifts. You up until this point, you've had these early '60s tunes like,
Yeah.
you know, just then all of a sudden we've got "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones.
Mhm. Every Scorsese movie. almost.
Dude, Ray murder.
Yeah.
Like that is a cultural shift of music had happened right there. When the Stones are coming out, putting out that type of stuff like "Gimme Shelter," you're like, whoa,
Blowing
whoa.
people's minds.
Yeah,
bro.
you're blowing people's minds. And so like he gets out of jail, and this is like when his whole life seems to change, which is perfectly soundtracked by this song being the next song in the thing of like, whoa, things are different now. This song's different. His life is different. And yeah, and so he continues. He's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep in this drug trade. I know it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it started getting bigger than I could handle. So I brought in Tommy and Jimmy, and then they go through another big thing with Jimmy. Jimmy makes a big deal or something, right?
The Lufthansa heist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a true heist as well, and they actually did this. I think it was few million, or maybe
They said 6
million.
6 million.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate. And it was really big. before we get into like the Stax Edwards and like the paranoia that starts around that, there's a short scene where Robert De Niro and all three of them actually are like, or he's getting them into their drug trade, or Henry's drug trade. He's like talking to them about it, and they're at like a parole office.
Yeah.
And someone, I think it's Robert De Niro's, Jimmy's parole officer is Tobin Bell, who is Jigsaw in the Saw movies.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes.
Damn.
It's not that I felt like he looked familiar. For some reason, I thought he was like, unfortunately, we did like Mallrats and this at the same time, and I was like, oh, it must be Michael Roker again. It's like, that's all I can think of, unfortunately. But that's interesting that you say that.
Ever since I saw Saw and and then I watched this movie, I'm like, that's fucking Jigsaw. How is this not known?
Yeah.
And so go back and watch it. It's fucking Jigsaw. It's
That's
cool.
amazing.
Thanks.
I love that. That's it.
Okay, that's going to be it. So let's get into our modern day rating.
No, I just really wanted to know what $6 million was worth at this point in 1978, because like I felt like that's it's worth knowing. Do you know how much that basically was a heist for?
Call it 20 million, maybe.
27 million.
Damn.
Basically $27.5 million. So this is what that steal was
cash,
like.
apparently.
Cash. Straight cash.
Ridiculous. So yeah, I love once they do this and they're all very happy. And I think this is the reason I like to watch these movies around Christmas time, is because of this bar
Christmas
scene. And yeah, then Frosty the Snowman.
It's a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
Good.
So Goodfellas
is a Christmas movie, by the way.
All right. Someone make T-shirts and get it to us. But yeah, I love when people are coming in. He's like, "Hey, there he is.
Yeah, there's the boy genius.
We did it." And then people come in. He's like, with fur coat. I bought this car. I love that car. Bought it for my wife. I love that Cadillac. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing? I told you not to buy anything." And he's taking the coat off, and Jimmy is just getting paranoid.
Yes.
So much here, and Maury is just agonizing him the entire time.
Frustrating.
And then one of the most brilliant musical cues, the "Sunshine of Your Love," ba 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 ba, where
slow motion pan.
He's realizing, he's like, I gotta do something about this motherfucker.
It's slow zooming in on De Niro, and he did.
It's like, so good.
It's then he does something, and then you get the worst, that like the weird. I don't mean worst. The weirdest musical choice of all time that works perfectly is the end of Layla as dead bodies are showing up everywhere.
Right.
It's unbelievably perfect.
Yeah.
How that works.
It's so good.
It's so resolute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the only way I could really describe it, of like this end of an era kind of a vibe.
Dude.
You know what I mean? Because I don't think it's like it's not the end of the movie.
But it sure is the end of that.
It's the end of that. You know,
wow.
It is. It's like the end of an era.
This is one of the songs that he had playing during when they were filming.
He already knew it.
Just to keep beat, and he's, as they're coming up on that pink Cadillac.
So he was listening to it while they were filming it?
Yeah, he was playing it on set.
Wow.
Just to keep time and rhythm and everything. It's just like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Shit.
But coming from him, it's just like, oh my God.
Oh, Scorsese!
Wow.
But yeah, and so every night for me, man. Every night.
Guys, again, this is why you tune into the Confused Breakfast. So many movie podcasts have sit over here and they've done Goodfellas, but none have ever done that.
They wax philosophically, but we wax on and on.
Danielson!
Fucking pussy and shit. Dude.
I love this podcast.
Oh, man.
I would listen to this podcast if I didn't know us.
Sorry, aggro quick.
I think a really cool, again, like if we want to keep jerking off Scorsese, I love the Maury kill scene.
Yes.
Because you're on this roller coaster ride. I almost still was. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, and I almost was still on this ride where you're like, oh, fuck, Maury's going to get waxed. Like, I kind of like Maury. And then you get that crazy De Niro laugh. I think is actually, you know what? The thing about tonight, let's not do that.
Forget about that thing.
Yeah.
Forget about
And so you are like, oh, cool. Oh, thank God. You're just like Henry Hill, like no big deal. Then you see them leaving the place and you go, God fucking damn it.
Yeah.
Like you know it's gonna happen again. It's a roller coaster ride.
The way it can keep you guessing.
Yes.
But unsure of your guess. You're unsure of yourself at that point. And
you don't even know
you
anymore.
can't trust it. There's
Kind
no
of
trust.
like all the people in the movie.
Basically, like they can't trust each other. You can't trust what any of them is going to say. And it's, again, we've talked about it in a couple different things. More recently, like The Thing, when you can feel like you're a part or you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
Just kind of looking like fly on the wall, kind of, and learning with them and figuring it out. And there's no trust. That's great filmmaking. That's it.
Who got killed that you hated the most out of this entire movie?
That you hated the most?
Like no, that you were like, that sucks.
Oh,
you know, like it wasn't Tommy. We'll talk about Tommy here in a second.
Yeah.
Who cares about Tommy? Like, glad he got it. You know, like was it Maury? Like who were you sad about the most that their character went out?
I think maybe the Cadillac and his wife.
Carboni.
Guy. Yeah.
That's me, man. Like he seemed like the sweetest guy of the bunch.
Yeah.
I know he probably wasn't, but I love how like they come in and he's like, get the fuck out of here, and he's like, yeah, come on, like we got to get out of here, and they take her out.
Frankie Carboni.
Yeah. You're
That's
talking
the
about
guy in the freezer
with
truck.
the hair. Yeah. Is that who you're talking about? Or are you talking about? You're talking about the guy. Yeah.
Cadillac, the pink Cadillac guy and his wife.
Yeah.
That's like the first shot.
You're right.
Of the Layla scene.
That's kind of a sad one.
It's like, I don't know. He seemed like, I just need some money. I don't know.
No big deal.
Know?
I got a side gig, right?
Yeah.
I teach blind kids.
I'm just doing,
school, like
probably.
But so what was it for you guys? Sorry,
I think it was Carboni for me.
Yeah, in the freezer truck.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one that like got in his car when they killed Maury, and he started, and then he's like, man, shit. Okay, and then we got to get out.
Oh, you gotta let the car warm up.
What the fuck are you talking about? Let warm up.
Warm up.
Going.
Which I think is actually very funny.
Yeah.
It's actually a very funny thing. Like that guy, if there's anybody who's probably innocent to a degree, it's Carboni.
Yeah.
Because he's like, get that coffee to go. He's just like, oh, I just got the pot and stuff like that. It's like, what are you talking? Right. It's a joke.
When they
put
kill
it away. They kill Stacks.
He's like my favorite guy.
Yeah.
Carboni, even though he's got the worst hair in the history of the world.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
My
it's
God.
Awful.
It's awful.
It's awful.
Wedding Singer.
And
yes,
yes.
Yes, I knew he was in one of our other movies. Yes.
Oh shit! I got one over myself.
Oh shit! I'm fucking frozen to death here.
Frozen to death in there.
And I got to ask you a question: Is this
spill this coffee?
Is this a humanizing scene for Jimmy? So Tommy gets whacked, and Jimmy's so excited about this going to happen because they can't get made, and Jimmy like loses it, gets real pissed and cries. Is Jimmy crying because his friend Tommy died, or because his one chance at an inn for being made has now gone out the window?
I think it's mostly that, because he's he just pulled this huge robbery, this heist, and now everyone around him is going down on his orders. I think the paranoia is kind of seeping in, and I think that the paranoia would have been kind of hushed if he knew that he was right next to a made guy, Right. And so I do think maybe because Tommy was a kid, and he was under Jimmy's wing. Right. And so I don't think he really cares that much about him.
Right.
I think he cared about him in a very strange, I don't want to say fatherly way, because you got to think Henry and Tommy were younger kids, and he was doing Jimmy was doing all the stuff with the trucks, and so I feel like it's like this almost like uncle kind of proud way.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of him, but like you say, I'm going to be next to a made man, and if you can't be made because you're Italian and Irish, then the best thing is to have your best friend be a made man.
Right.
Now you can't touch me. Now you're right. The paranoia does go away.
Yeah.
Because now I'm close. You can't touch him, because if you touch him, Tommy will find out. Yeah. That kind of a thing. That's why he's upset. You're right. I think that's why. Yeah.
And it sucks. I mean, there's Tommy's a piece of shit, obviously, but it's just like, but I like how matter of fact Ray Liotta's voiceover is like that it was revenge for Billy
Bats.
Bats.
Sorry.
It's like it's what it is, and like even the coldness over the phone
Right.
of talking to Jimmy.
The
There's like,
conversation there.
yeah, he's gone. He's gone. I don't know.
Yeah, he's gone.
What do you mean he's gone? He's like, yeah, well, things just went south, and he's gone. It's like,
Yeah, he's gone.
okay,
I get it.
whatever.
Whatever, man.
Yeah. Ugh. It's rough. It's a hard thing to watch.
Yeah.
Even though
I felt no remorse on this
You did-
this watch
it's-
through. I was just like, fuck that guy.
you don't feel remorse up until you hear the voiceover from Ray Liotta say, and they even shot him in the face, so his mother
Yeah.
couldn't even give him an open casket.
Sorry.
Rough.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't raise a piece of shit.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, feed him less food.
You know who also probably didn't get a fucking burial was Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know his mom didn't do an open casket? Spider's mom.
You know what? You're
Because
right.
they never found him.
Yeah, you're right. Fuck that guy.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
One thing on Spider's death, he's like, it was a good shot. What do you want me to do? It was a good shot. It's like,
Yeah.
it was a good shot. It was 7 of them
Yeah.
from fucking this far away. God damn, dude.
Quantity, not quality there,
Yeah,
Tommy.
dude.
Jesus.
Yeah, buddy.
God.
All right.
All right, so final scene. Forward in time to 1980, Henry's complicated life has come full steam. Balancing his drug shipments, family life, and mob duties, he slips up and is arrested. Getting out on bail, Paulie and the rest of the mob abandon him, and it appears Jimmy wants him killed. Henry decides to become an informant for the FBI. He and his family enter the Federal Witness Protection Program after testifying against Paulie and Jimmy. Here's another soundtrack moment. We have now jumped to 1980. And throughout this movie, this soundtrack has followed the time period. It has followed the time period. It doesn't. It stops. It stays in the 70s. It does not go to the 80s here, which I think is brilliant because these fuckers are stuck back in time. They're still trying to hang on to their old fucking lives, and they cannot move on. And so you've got the beautiful, perfect song, Henry Nilsson's Jump in the Fire going on here while this chaotic scene is happening, and it's perfection. They've moved along the whole time except for now.
This
And they've
entire
stopped.
this entire sequence is pure jerking off to Scorsese. Like it's
That's why AJ took his jacket off.
yeah, it is, but it's also Thelma Schoonmaker and her editing.
Yeah.
in this, and it is like completely one of the best scenes of all time.
really
I
is.
think in any movie ever made. I think it's like one of the best sequences because this whole time this movie's been fast, but it's been these like slow kind of tracking shots
It's like
on
2
these
hours
characters.
too at this point, man.
Yeah. And so you're really at this point inundated. You feel like you're a part of the mob in this until this scene, until like it's just cut after cut. It's jump cut. Like he's making meatballs, and then sometimes it's the same cut over and over again of him like looking out the window, see if the helicopter's there. You know, it's very hectic, and you feel like things are falling apart. And once the scene ends, it's just like,
It's all stress. This is where he just becomes completely stressed out. He's a different person. He's not all put together and shit, right? And you're just like, he's following. All we need to know about Henry Hill is what we already know about Jimmy the Gent. The guy's becoming paranoid. He's becoming like freaked out, like all that kind of stuff. That's what's happening at this point. And I think it's like I'm not saying it's like it's the same story, but I'm just saying like he's following along in this, and he's getting more and more wrapped up. And what you're talking about, he's got all these things to do, and the fact that all this mob work is just as easily explained as I gotta cook dinner,
I gotta pick up my brother.
I gotta get the veal, I gotta pick up my brother, I got
just
the
part of his-
scallopini.
I gotta sell Jimmy these guns. I know he doesn't want to buy.
I got a bottle of fettuccine alfredo in 1991.
And that's what he does.
And mozzarella.
And some of this is drug related too, because I love this. I never picked up on this. He says the same line twice. He says, I had to get home and get the package ready for Lois to take on her trip. I also had to get Sandy's to give the package a whack with quinine or whatever. I also knew Sandy would get on my ass. I had cooking to finish, and I had to get Lois ready for her trip. He said, get Lois ready for her trip twice in the same thing where he was
weird.
rattling off what he had to do.
Yeah.
He's just fucking. He doesn't even know what's going on
He's
anymore.
all over the place, man. And it's an unraveling of it already felt a little, starting off or chaotic by the middle of this movie. Now it is just complete chaos.
You can't wrap this up. It's like it's going.
There's no resolution to this. Just look at him. you know? And when he goes to pick up his brother, who's his brother?
Kevin Corrigan.
Yes.
Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah.
He's in The Departed.
He's also the dude in the Brazil jersey and Superbad at the party.
Superbad, yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Shut the fuck up, Scarlett.
I couldn't believe it when I saw his face. I go, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I gotta look him up. Oh my God!
Sorry, man. Tiger got out of the cage, all right? You gonna bring your fucking friends over to my house again?
It's so good.
That's like a little Martin Scorsese moment in Superbad.
Oh yeah,
It kinda is, man.
definitely.
It kinda
Good
is.
casting on
Tiger out of
Superbad's
the
part.
cage, man.
Turn me in. So you guys got my
You
space,
Jimmy's
or-
brother?
Dude,
You look like him, man.
you do.
You do.
Wait, are you Jimmy's brother?
Were you Jimmy's brother?
Oh, it's Henry's brother. Okay.
Yeah,
That would have been really
I
weird.
know.
There was in that whole chaos too. I think my favorite moment of this is when he has to stop over at Sandy's, and Sandy's like, "You just come over and you're gonna fuck me," and he's like, "No, babe, I'm not gonna do that." He grabs it and then he runs out and he goes, and he leaves and laughs. I was like, this guy doesn't even care about anything
care.
anymore. He doesn't care about anything but the end goal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it all gets brought down by someone forgetting their stupid fucking hat.
God,
Queenie, I'm not gonna fly without my hat. It's my lucky hat. I'm not gonna do it.
we're not gonna do it.
Okay, let's go get your fucking hat, and then
boom.
Yeah,
I like that though. The explanation, you didn't have to put this in there, but the explanation of like, I would have been dead already if I knew it was the cops, because I wouldn't have known I was dead if it was the mob.
yeah, I like that a lot.
That's cool.
Mhm.
And it goes whoo, the whole of what, a 5-minute build up, it just goes
Yeah.
and
I mean,
just stops right there.
It just goes away.
Yep.
And up until this point, it's because there's been zero consequence in his life. Even when he went to prison,
Yeah,
it wasn't really consequence.
And then he still goes to jail here and gets bailed out.
and he gets bailed out.
Like nothing has
It
changed.
just
here yet.
continues on. Yeah.
Do you go ahead?
well, at this point too, that he's kind of realizing that he's getting paranoid now because
Yes.
what I mean.
Jimmy is thinking that he's probably said some stuff to some of the wrong people, you
Right.
know? And so Jimmy now is terrifying. And all the coke is gone. He doesn't have any money left or nothing. And he goes to Paulie. Paulie's like, "This is it. And
I have to turn my back on.
I don't
want
want to see you ever again," basically.
Yeah.
And Karen goes to Jimmy, and this is terrifying. And what do you guys think? Do you think he was maybe going to murder her?
You get that vibe, but you rewatch it and like the two guys inside that building are just moving things around. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like that would be a setup for her getting killed. You can see how like the back of the truck is open. There's a semi just right by Jimmy with the back of the truck open, ready to throw a body in there.
Yeah.
I think Henry's paranoia is on Karen now too, and I think she's straight up paranoid.
Wasn't she doing coke the same way?
Yeah.
I mean, and everything. What was she going down that way to get? This is
Dresses. He was giving her a bunch of dresses or something like that.
Dresses. Okay. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. It all just kept. It didn't seem like a great reason for her to go down a dark corridor to pick these things up. But then again, maybe. You know what? Don't judge a book by its cover, guys. This big moving guy who's just moving boxes, he's got a box full of dresses that he's going to move.
The electricity got turned off because the guy didn't pay his rent. They're clearing the place out.
Exactly. Jimmy's just trying to do he already bought the place. He's clearing it out,
What do you think?
Well, by Jimmy's look, I think it looks like there's something.
He's looking around a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's just down there."
No, keep going. Yep,
And then when she starts to, especially I think when she's like, "No, it's okay, Jimmy. I'm just gonna go home." He's like, "All right." He doesn't like go to the boys, I guess, if those are like, I don't know, like the guy moving the crate and shit in there does look a little like what?
Yeah.
But maybe it was just like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna pretend like we're moving crates.
We're moving crates, and then we're gonna show her this dress. This is a good dress right here. I'll tell you.
nice dress.
I made this dress, and it's a
beautiful
good
dress, Jimmy.
We're gonna lay it on the floor. We're gonna be like, you have to put it on the floor. I don't know why. I don't know. She'll probably buy it. I'm gonna take the box of dresses and drop it on her face.
Right. Like a piano in the cat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We watched too many.
Oh, she left.
Oh shoot, we've been talking this whole time. She left.
We watched too many cartoons. Shit.
That Wile E. Coyote though, he gets me going.
Oh, he's really good. We should turn that on.
It's a good time.
So he fucking everybody's turned his back on him, so he has no choice but to be like, he tried.
Yeah.
He tried to be like, help me out, and we'll figure this out. And then what do they all expect? He just says, fuck it, I'm gonna testify.
Yeah.
And in court, just like
I
their
really
faces.
I really love the scene of him finally meeting up with Jimmy and
In
him
the
being
diner.
like, yeah, Jimmy's never asked me to murder anybody before. And I knew then that he was going to have me whacked in Florida, and I truly believe him.
Oh yeah, at that point for sure.
It was the dolly zoom shot as well with both of them at the diner, which was really cool. It's really just kind of warping your perspective literally at this point of the life. It's like, no, it's not so great, And I think as the same time as Henry Hill is realizing that, he's like, well, I have to do what I have to do.
This is what I have to do.
Yeah.
And it's this might be the most perfectly executed song of the movie if you really dissect it. At the very end, they play My Way, but they don't do the version of who did My Way?
Sinatra.
Yeah.
They do Sid Vicious.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Which, if you think about it, Sinatra's the most classic of classic singers, elegant,
Respect.
respect, singing one of his most
King.
popular songs, King. This is how it should have been done. If they had painted the picture from 1960, they would have been like, "That's the song we're going to use at the day we die," or whatever. But instead, we get Sid Vicious, the absolute complete opposite. It's chaos embodied, still doing that song, but like not the way you thought it was going to go. And that is the equivalent of how this movie ends. Like, well, we made it, but wasn't the way I thought we were going to make it. And it's just like,
and now it's all over.
yeah. And his smile, he's just like, yeah, whatever. Then Pesci shoots us as audience members.
Yeah.
And then the fucking movie's over.
Rude.
Like it's an unbelievable, like they could have fucked this ending up. They didn't.
I really think the reason Scorsese's gangster movies are the best is because he takes a cynical approach to it, because I think he thinks it's ridiculous too.
Yeah.
I think he thinks like me when it's just like kind of kids in the sandbox bullshit. And I think he especially like Casino, he has all these old bosses and they're all hooked up to these fucking machines and they're all calling shots and doing the young man game. And it's just like, yeah, but you're old, stupid fucking crotchety bastards. And you could say the same with politics nowadays too.
Oh my God.
And I think he's definitely commenting on that as well as telling the truth about how the mob really is, where it's just like, it's almost really unorganized.
Yeah.
It's almost just to the point where it's fucking ridiculous. And I think he nails that. He fucking nails that about it. He gives you like, what I want to think of is like, you think of the gangster movie as this like well-suited, almost Frank Sinatra looking kind of Godfather-ish kind of thing, where he shows you a gangster in his fucking underwear. I think that's what the true nature of these movies are, and then what actually happens.
Is he humanizing the goons almost?
Absolutely.
Hell yes.
Is he taking that old saying, if you're afraid, then picture them in their underwear?
Yeah, almost.
I mean, it's kind of genius. You're right. And he'll just he kind of making fun of it along the way. You can apply any social comparison, I think, to a lot of his movies, like what you're saying, and I think you're right. He's an artist. Martin Scorsese is an artist. He fucking art, bro. So is Sid Vicious. Fuck yeah, dude. But
Continue.
But the other thing you have to understand is that
Yes.
is that
What do we got to understand?
I'm building suspense. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that like he's going to take this outside perspective, like what you're talking about, and he's completely fine with poking the holes in everything, even though this is a true story. He's poking all the holes into this story and making it a joke, borderline. And yeah, it's great. I think he's the only one who could maybe do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it for you guys?
That's it for me.
We did not do.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
here's a prop.
Got to do a prop on this movie. Do you guys have one off the top of your head?
I'm thinking.
Okay, I'm going to give you one then. This is a little unorthodox. What I want every one of their dress shirts that they all wear. You know, they've got those kind of long collars.
Yes.
I want every one of them so that I can put them in a pile and burn them.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It looks like their necks have teeth. You know, it's like I don't get it.
You look worse than Ben Affleck in Mallrats.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's something to be said, okay?
Would have been better with a Henley.
I'm going to burn them all.
Yeah, 100%.
That's my problem. That's unorthodox, but that's the move I'm going to go.
It's awesome.
Doing it for the universe.
I appreciate that.
I want Stack's guitar. We never see it, but like when he gets capped by Joe
Yes.
Pesci, there's a
Because he
case.
was a musician or something,
yeah,
right?
he's like, he'd play guitar around the bar every now and again. I want to know what guitar. I think probably like a Les Paul or
It's gotta be.
something. BB King fan.
Think so?
Yeah.
He's got
I
some
like
money.
that. Yeah, he does now.
Now he does.
Well,
Ugh.
kind of. Well, and then I'll keep it. I'll keep it kind of in that same area. I want the coffee pot.
Cool. I like it. People are like, what is that big? Don't worry about that.
That? Oh, don't worry about that little guy. You want some coffee? Do you want it to go?
You want it to go? You have to take it with you.
I love that.
All right, my boys, we have talked about this movie with a modern eye. We've dissected it scene by scene. We've got to give it a modern day rating. We're going to start with the age. What do you think about this, man?
This is really hard because you get caught so much in. This is not a short movie. It's a long movie, but it's a fast movie. And that's one thing. I think that the story itself is great, and I think Martin Scorsese tells it wonderfully. I think it's. I love the way that his pacing is, and how he can literally make you feel like you're kind of in the movie to a degree. There are parts of it that I'm just kind of done, and then I'll pick back up into it. So that all being said, as far as it goes, I think that this is absolutely one of the baselines as far as a gangster movie goes. And so that being said, I want to give this an 8.6.
8.6, Shaun. What about you, man?
I just think this is a staple of filmmaking in general and movies. Like comparing it to another gangster movie, I guess The Godfather, where it's just like The Godfather is very patient and very slow and like kind of gets in. It's a masterpiece of it on its own, but I think this is my preferred gangster movie and the way that I want it told, where we just got done saying is the ridiculousness of it. Like, take the glamour out of it, humanize the goons of it. I like to dispel that, you know. Well, one thing I like about Last Podcast on the Left is that when they cover these horrible crimes, they like to make fun of these killers because they are actually really fucking dumb. And I think that's what this movie is doing to a T. And I love that about it. I appreciate that about it. The filmmaking is unbelievable. It's jerk-off worthy. It's
as we've seen.
Yeah.
I don't have anything left.
I don't either.
Spirit is willing, but the flesh is spongy and bruised.
It inspired filmmakers like Paul Thomas Anderson to make Boogie Nights, which was another one of my favorite movies. I love this movie, and I think that it's a masterpiece. But I do feel its pace a tiny bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I think you're supposed to. But with that, I think I'm going to go a 9.7.
9.7 for the Shaun. That's 2 out of the last 3 weeks. We got a 9.7 from this boy.
Wow.
I think this is my preferred gangster movie of the era. I do really like The Departed, and I don't know how I would compare the two. But that's not what we do here. We're talking the classics, right? So I think that the soundtrack is a absolute masterclass, should be taught in film classes of this is how you score a movie. It is perfect. The actors are amazing. They're all at like the prime of their acting. This movie, it's not perfection. I think I agree with Shaun. It's just a little long. Maybe like I'd like to wrap it up a little bit faster, but everything's so great. It's jerk off worthy for sure. I'm a 9.05.
God,
that is
I've been thinking in my head I should be a 9.05.
You can change
That's
it.
literally what I've been.
You can change it right until I give the final Until I give the final rating here, you can't change it.
It's a 9.05 for me.
Yeah.
That's literally what I was saying, and I was like, if Mike doesn't say this,
I'm going to change it.
yeah. So okay,
So
I'm gonna do it too.
We are, with that change rating, we are 9.27.
Wow.
Which is going to take us, you guys, into the number 2 spot
Wow.
of any movie we have ever done. Dazed and Confused is a 9.5. Breakfast Club, 9.26. This is a 9.27. Is that what I said? Yes, 9.27. So there you go. We have officially found a number 2. Our list is askew, the top 10 that we gave you. What does that knock out of the top 10?
Definitely The Shining's out of there. I think it's been out of there.
That takes The Sandlot out of our top 10.
Wow.
Leaving Dumb and Dumber at number 10. So Dumb and Dumber, your leash is getting a little short here.
Yeah.
I have a feeling at some point we'll get another one that's going to knock you out there. So
yeah, we got Nicolas Cage month coming up. Look out, Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah.
Armageddon's definitely going to be top.
Oh, totally. Aerosmith.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for being here. Tune in next week. We'll have our bonus episode. We'll have a mini bite about South Park. It's going to be fun. We're going to dive in real deep into that whole era and how they got all that stuff done. Followed by Out Cold.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And then my pick's coming up. I want to take us into the... We did this like well-renowned 90s jerk-off movie.
Filming
I'm
masterpieces.
going to take us back into the well, this is kind of weird. We're going to do Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. So
I'm so excited.
if you are new to this podcast, go back this time last year. Cool Runnings. I thought that was a great episode.
Yeah.
That's when we kept waxing poetic about John Candy.
Absolutely.
And we told you some fun facts about how that while Goodfellas was a true story and pretty much straight up, Cool Runnings is a true story they took a lot of liberties with. So we dispel a lot of those rumors for you. And don't forget, we have a voicemail. Call us at 319-804-9596. Leave us some feedback like today's caller.
What's up, Confused crew? Happy New Year, you dirty dogs.
Happy New Year.
Fucking love you guys.
Love you, man.
But you did me a little dirty on the 5 winter movies. He threw out The Day After Tomorrow, which was a first-time watch for me. And that movie's garbage, bro. I love bad movies. And you should have just said, hey, this movie's I like it, but it's trash. But he threw that up there in the top 5, fucking something to write home about.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Love you guys. Keep on keeping on.
Thanks, man.
Fucking love that one.
Don't waste your time.
It's essentially what you should have said, and you did it.
Look, it's a cold weather movie, bro. Okay? All right? All right?
He's saying top 5.
He's like, top 5? You are an idiot.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, appreciate
Thank
you,
so
buddy.
much for calling.
Take us out, AJ.
Guys, thank you so much for listening as well. You made it through this episode, and if you did, then if you haven't left us a 5-star review, I really hope you do, and you write us something cool and positive at the same time because we love reading them. Otherwise, just make sure you search Confused Breakfast anywhere on social media, at Confused Breakfast, just about anywhere for social meds.
Get at confusedbreakfast.com to get some of our merch. You can get some Damn Dang It shirts. You can get some of our logo shirts. You can get some coffee mugs. Go to confusedbreakfast.com as well to see our ratings. And you are just witnessing history right now. Goodfellas is number 2.
Number 2 on the
Number
list.
2 on the list. You can see that there in all of our personal rankings as well. Thank you guys so much for the messages on Instagram and Facebook. Keep those coming. We love them and we read them all, and we will get back to you eventually if we haven't yet.
Eventually. And patreon.com/confusedbreakfast, the best way to monetarily support this podcast. There's so much in there. We think it's worth it. Just the group of people that you're going to be a part of, the movie voting like people did today, the bonus audio content. We're going to talk more about some crazy movies and gangster movies after this. So go there, patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. And this show is produced by LAS Media Group. We got Aggro Crag, Aggro meaning aggressive, Craig meaning rock. Craig.
Craig
Sounds like he's our rock. He's the man in the controls. If you want to learn more about that amazing organization, lasmediagroup.com. That's it for us. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Get on now.
Go get on now.
We're going to take out the papers.